Anthony Davis, I told you, the Lakers can't win this series. Forget about the championship. They can't win this series without street clothes.
I'm not even. You want to explain that?
I call him Anthony Street Clothes Davis because he's always in street clothes.
You ain't got to explain it.
Just days after firing Nico Harrison, the Dallas Mavericks are already talking about blowing the whole roster apart. And this isn't some small reshuffle. They're eyeing a full teardown, moving Anthony Davis, flipping Klay Thompson, and even considering trading Kyrie Irving once he returns from that torn ACL. They're ready to tank toward the 2026 draft and finally build around Cooper Flagg the right way. Not long ago, Anthony Davis was hyped as the guy who would justify trading Luka Doncic, the defensive anchor, the game changer, the piece to push Dallas into another level. But now, an NBA exec told ESPN's Tim McMahon they don't even know what AD's trade value is anymore. That alone might keep Rob Pelinka employed forever, because he pulled off a wild move, trading a player with almost no value plus a pick and a swap for a top 5 once-in-a-generation star. That's rare. AD's decline in value has been brutal, and now we're breaking down how he went from Luka-level worth to maybe not even getting 2 first-rounders.
George, Anthony Davis will miss his 7th straight game tonight with that left calf strain. That is because Mavericks Governor Patrick Dumont has requested medical data indicating there is no risk of aggravating that calf strain or worse, like we unfortunately saw with Tyrese Halliburton in the finals.
With nonstop injuries, weight issues, a massive contract, and being 32, he might be one of the toughest stars to move, and Dallas is about to feel it. Brett Siegel from Clutch Point said that even before Harrison got fired, the Mavs were already checking what Klay Thompson could bring back at the deadline. That was last week. Now Harrison's gone, and those quiet whispers have turned into full conversations about moving everyone. Mark Stein added that even though Rich Paul has a strong bond with owner Patrick Dumont, that doesn't guarantee AD stays. When you're 3-8, running the worst offense anyone remembers, watching your former franchise star dominate for the Lakers while your new centerpiece can't stay healthy, what are you even competing for this season? The Western Conference is wild right now. OKC has only lost once. The Spurs finally look like a real powerhouse with Victor Wembanyama towering over everybody. And Denver just built the strongest squad Nikola Jokic has ever had in his entire run with the Nuggets. The Lakers are beating expectations. The Rockets jumped to the 2nd seed after grabbing Kevin Durant and starting 6-3, and even the Timberwolves are rolling at 7-4. If Dallas somehow overachieves, maybe they land in that 7-10 zone, but that's a stretch. The smarter move is obvious. Trade Anthony Davis while he still has some value.
I feel good. I'm kind of almost going to every season because I put on so much weight in the summer. And then by the time, like November comes, it was like 255, 258. So I never want to come in at my playing weight because then I lose weight during the season, then I'm too small. So I try to go, because I lose about 10 to 12 pounds like very quickly during camp. I already lost 5 pounds. It's like all the running and playing, so I'm never concerned about that. I feel great, moving great. I feel good.
Move Klay Thompson while there's still interest. Keep Kyrie Irving until he's healthy enough to flip, then move him too. Use the rest of this season, and next season if needed, to stack picks and finally build around Cooper Flagg, instead of wasting his early years on a roster going nowhere. People aren't realizing how loaded the 2026 draft class is. There's no locked-in number 1, but the star potential is crazy. Darren Patterson has coaches calling him the best recruit they've ever brought in. AJ DiBonzo sits as the top prospect, and Cam Boozer, known for dominating top-level competition, is right there too. This class isn't just strong. It could be one of those rare groups that reshapes a franchise fast. So if you're the Mavericks, why chase a weak play-in run with an older, injury-heavy core? Why not call it what it is and start fresh the right way? Now we finally reach the center of the entire mess. What is Anthony Davis actually worth in a trade right now?
You plan on wearing protective goggles through practice, preseason, regular season games. How are you going to go about that part of the...
Yeah, that is a mandate from the doctor that I have to. So,
is there a time frame for that?
It's for the rest of the career. There's no, which I'm not too excited about. But, so I've been wearing them in the summer, working out and everything like that. Trying to get used to them. But, yeah, you guys will see me in the Horace Grants this year.
Have you thought about
the Kareems? No, it won't be like that. But I will have some protective eyewear for sure. Yeah.
This is where things start getting uncomfortable for the Mavericks. Davis has missed 6 straight games with a left calf strain, and he's only managed to play 5 games total this season. Since joining Dallas in February, he's played just 14 out of 44 possible games. That's less than 1 out of every 3. No front office can build a future around a star who's barely available.
Do you take any issue with this strategy?
I do. One, because you have a rookie in Cooper Flagg, who's your #1 pick, that's coming in, and what kind of example is that to show him? 2, you're in a tough Western Conference that's loaded. 3, you was traded for an international superstar, and you are that guy on this team right now. You need to come into camp in shape. I'm very disappointed, or a little disappointed, in Anthony Davis, because I thought he would come in and be on the mission this upcoming season.
But the situation keeps piling up. Davis came into training camp out of shape after eye surgery to repair a detached retina, and he added roughly 15 pounds, jumping from 253 to 268. Photos from practice made the weight gain clear, and even now in November, he's still dealing with soft tissue issues. The irony behind this whole story is almost unbelievable. Dallas traded Luka Doncic mainly because they claimed he didn't take conditioning seriously enough. Harrison literally pointed to Luka's fitness as justification for the deal. But here we are. Their new supposed franchise piece arrives heavier than anyone expected, immediately gets hurt, and still hasn't found a rhythm. Meanwhile, Luka is in the best condition of his entire career, locking up defensively and averaging 41 points per game for the Lakers. When the exact same problem hits 2 different stars, it's hard not to notice the pattern.
How good are they with Kyrie and AD healthy? If you don't think you're good enough to get to the Western Conference Finals now, should you consider what the trade market is for those 2 guys and reformatting all around Cooper Flagg?
Kuzma plus Miles Turner plus a first-round pick for Anthony Davis. Giannis and AD, okay. I mean, I could get with that.
And calf injuries mixed with added weight are no joke at all. We've seen how quickly a calf strain can turn into something way more serious, especially for players in their 30s carrying extra pounds. Davis already had bilateral Achilles tendinopathy before this latest setback, and that alone makes the whole situation feel like a countdown waiting to explode. Nobody wants to trade for a player whose lower body feels like it's one wrong landing away from a major injury. But we haven't even reached the toughest part yet: the contract. Davis still has 3 years and $175 million left on his deal. He's making $54.1 million this season, $58.5 million next season, and then he holds a massive $62.8 million player option for the 2027 to 2028 season when he'll be 34 years old. And let's be real, no one is turning down the biggest payday of their career at that age, especially not with this injury history. Here's a fact that makes Mavericks fans want to toss their TVs out the window. The Lakers just signed Luka Doncic to a 3-year, $165 million extension, and that's still less than what Dallas is paying Anthony Davis over the same stretch. They're paying more for an injury-prone 33-year-old than the Lakers are paying for a 26-year-old MVP candidate. So who's taking Anthony Davis's contract? Who's giving up real assets for a 33-year-old big making around $60 million a year who's missed 30 of his last 44 games? The answer is nobody. Not unless Dallas attaches picks just to move him. They might literally have to pay another team to take his deal. That's how far his value has fallen. The NBA executive who told Tim McMahon, "I'm not sure what they can get for Davis," wasn't exaggerating. He even said you can't play 2 timelines anymore. You take whatever you can get, and even that might not be much. It's a harsh fall for someone who was an MVP candidate not long ago, a champion in 2020, an All-NBA first team and All-Defense first team star, and now teams aren't even sure what he's worth in a trade. So let's talk real for a second. If the Mavericks actually try to trade Anthony Davis, what kind of return are they even looking at? Sports Illustrated recently dropped 4 possible trade ideas for him, and honestly, none of them look great. One had the Bulls sending Nikola Vucevic, Kobe White, Jalen Smith, and a 2026 first-round pick for Davis. That's it. A declining center, a solid young guard, a bench piece, and 1 pick. For a player the Mavericks traded Luka Doncic to get. Another idea had the Heat sending Tyler Herro, Caleb Martin, and a 2030 first-round pick. I don't see that one happening because Miami has been extremely protective of Herro. But even if it did happen, it's still just 1 real asset and a pick years down the road. The only one that actually feels realistic is with the Raptors. Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett for Davis straight up. That one kind of works for both sides. Toronto gets a star next to Scotty Barnes, and Dallas gets 2 younger players who actually fit Cooper Flagg's timeline. But here's the real issue. None of these trades even come close to what Davis was supposed to be worth. Dallas traded a 25-year-old generational superstar for him, and now the best they might get is 2 borderline all-star pieces or a mix of role players and a single pick. That's how much his value has dropped. Some teams could technically have interest. The Lakers, ironically, could use his defense and rim protection, but they don't have the assets unless they move Austin Reeves, and that's not happening. The Bulls could try if they want to stay competitive, but they'd have to tear their team apart. The Heat are always hunting for stars, but they're capped out, and Pat Riley is not throwing major assets at an injury-prone big. The truth is, Anthony Davis's trade value has fallen so hard that the Mavericks might have to accept straight-up pennies just to clear his salary. It's like putting your money into a hype coin and realizing you're cashing out for scraps, and it's already too late. The rug got pulled, and the Mavericks were the ones left holding the bag. And since we're talking about the trades Dallas has to make, we need to talk about Klay Thompson, because the front office was already exploring moves for him before Nico Harrison even got fired. Thompson has been rough this season. He's putting up just 8.5 points a night and shooting a shocking 29.2% from 3. And this is someone who was once labeled one of the greatest shooters ever. Now he's shooting worse than big men who never step outside the paint. His game has clearly dropped off. Thompson is 35. He's coming off a torn ACL and a torn Achilles. And without Luka Doncic creating open looks for him, his production has completely collapsed. He can't create his own shot anymore, and he still has 2 years left on the 3-year, $50 million deal he signed in 2024. The only bright spot is that a team like the Lakers might take a look just because of his championship history and the idea of pairing him with Luka again. But let's be honest, his trade value is at rock bottom. Dallas would be lucky to get a solid role player and maybe a second-round pick at this point. But here's why the Mavericks still need to move him. Every game Klay suits up for Dallas is a game where younger guys aren't getting minutes, and the team isn't learning what pieces actually fit around Cooper Flagg for the future. If you're rebuilding, you can't halfway it.
Table of when I'm coming back, so please don't ask me when I'm coming back. Please don't badger me with all the questions. Like, I'm going to be ready when I'm ready, and I'm taking the necessary steps to put my best.
You've got to fully commit, and that means moving Klay Thompson even if the return isn't pretty. Now let's get into Kyrie Irving, because he's the one player on this roster who might still hold real trade value. But there's a huge roadblock. He's dealing with a torn ACL and won't be back until December or January, and even that timeline isn't locked in at all. Shams reported back in April that there was optimism Kyrie could return by January, but Kyrie made it clear that nothing is guaranteed. He even said on Twitch, "There's no timetable of when I'm coming back," which leaves every team guessing and waiting. Jason Kidd already had to walk back his comments about hoping Kyrie might return by the end of 2025, admitting that it was more wishful thinking than anything based on real medical info. The truth is, Kyrie might not be fully ready until February or March, and when you're talking about a 33-year-old coming off a torn ACL, that's something every front office takes seriously. But here's why the Mavericks still need to think about moving him. Irving is under contract through 2026 to 2027 with a player option on that last year. He's making $43 million this season, and he's definitely going to want a new extension after that. For a rebuilding squad, does it make sense to pay a 33-year-old point guard with an injury history a huge new deal? Or do you flip him while he still has real value and bring in younger pieces or picks that actually fit your timeline? The smart play is simple. Wait until Kyrie is healthy, let him show the league he's still got that superstar spark for a month or two, and then move him at the deadline. There will always be contenders desperate for a guard who can flip a playoff series. Maybe the Heat, maybe the Clippers, maybe a wild card team that collapses early and needs a jolt. On his best days, Kyrie is worth way more than Davis or Thompson right now, and the Mavericks can't afford to waste that. So if Dallas really plans to trade everyone and tank, the real question is, what exactly are they tanking for? The 2026 NBA draft class is already being talked about as one of the strongest we've seen in years, with 3 or 4 prospects who look like real franchise players. That's the kind of class you tank for. If the Mavericks land a top 3 pick in 2026, Cooper Flagg finally gets a running mate on his timeline. Imagine Flagg and someone like Patterson or DeBonzo growing together for the next decade. That's the kind of foundation you can actually build on. Something way more valuable than scrambling for a play-in spot with an older, injury-prone core that can't stay on the floor. Now let's talk about Cooper Flagg, because he's the only reason any of this even matters. Flagg was supposed to be the big payoff for trading away Luka Doncic, a young, generational-level talent who could grow into the next true franchise star. And he is incredibly gifted, but he's also just 18 and being thrown into a broken system with no real point guard and no functioning offense at all. Flagg has been misused from day one. Jason Kidd tried turning him into the primary ball handler when that's not his game, and the lack of spacing and shot creation around him has made it almost impossible for him to look like the player he's supposed to be. That's a tough spot for any young star, let alone someone still learning the league. But now that Harrison is gone, Dallas finally has a chance to reset everything. If the Mavericks move Davis, Thompson, and eventually Kyrie, it actually checks off a bunch of important boxes. First, they open up a ton of cap space for when Flagg is ready to really compete. Second, they stack picks and young pieces that actually fit his timeline. Third, they can bottom out in 2026 and go get him a true partner. Someone in his age group, not veterans trying to hang on. Look at what the Thunder did. They traded everyone, loaded up on a mountain of draft picks, and now they're one of the strongest young teams in the league with a core all hitting their prime at the same time. That's the blueprint. Not this win now with pieces that don't fit and hope everyone stays healthy approach. The Mavericks have a real chance to do it right this time. They have a generational talent in Cooper Flagg. They can position themselves for another elite prospect in 2026, and they can clear huge cap space by moving their older, expensive vets. Everything they need for a real rebuild is sitting right in front of them. The real question now is whether the Mavericks have the guts to fully commit to this rebuild or if they'll keep dragging it out. Because the best case scenario for keeping this roster together is maybe slipping into the play-in and getting bounced immediately. Maybe they finish 10th or 11th and miss the playoffs altogether. Either way, they're not competing. They're not even close. And every game they stall is another wasted year of Cooper Flagg's development, while their older players lose even more value. And the longer they wait, the worse it gets. Every day Davis misses games, his value drops. Every loss that stacks up pushes him closer to 33 years old while still holding 3 years and around $180 million left on his contract. His value is never going to be higher than right now. If they wait until the trade deadline, it'll dip again. If they wait until summer, it might be unmovable. That's how fast this can collapse. Klay Thompson isn't any safer. His value is already near the bottom, and if he keeps shooting 29% from 3 for another few months, nobody is touching that contract, not even as a salary dump. And with Kyrie, the longer he stays out, the more the league starts wondering if he'll ever look like the same player again. Every delay adds more doubt. Doing nothing puts the Mavericks in the absolute worst place an NBA team can end up, stuck in the middle. Too good to bottom out for picks, not good enough to compete for anything real. That's basketball purgatory. That's how you waste Cooper Flagg's prime and end up right back at square one after all this chaos. Think about how wild this is. 9 months ago, Nico Harrison traded Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis and told everyone this was about building a defense-first contender. 9 months ago, Dallas claimed they were creating a new era built around Davis and Kyrie Irving. Now Harrison is gone, the Mavericks are 3-8 and spiraling. Davis has played only 14 of 44 games and is worth a small fraction of what they sacrificed. Klay Thompson looks completely washed, Kyrie is out indefinitely, and Cooper Flagg is being forced to carry a broken roster at just 18 years old. This is exactly what a failed experiment looks like. The only way out is to admit it didn't work and start fresh. The real question isn't whether they should blow it up, it's whether they have the courage to actually pull the trigger. Trading Davis means admitting the Luka trade was a disaster. Trading Kyrie means accepting that they can't chase short-term wins. Tanking for 2026 means taking on real losses for at least a year or two. But it's still the smartest path forward. Right now, the Mavericks are stuck between two timelines. They're not young enough to rebuild properly, but they're not good enough to compete for anything meaningful. That's the worst place to be in the entire league. One path leads to years of bland basketball, wasted picks, shrinking value, and eventually Cooper Flagg asking out. The other path leads to a real reset, another elite 2026 prospect, a young core on the same timeline, cap space, and a real championship window down the line. Let's see if they actually have the heart to make the move. And this whole situation with the Mavericks, it's getting wilder by the day. I'm curious what you think about all this. Do they blow the whole thing up? Do they try to save it? Or is this rebuild already written in stone? I genuinely want to hear your take, so drop a comment and let me know how you see this playing out. Thanks so much for watching. Seriously, I appreciate you being here. If you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure to like, share, and hit that subscribe button for more ball stories coming your way. And don't stop here. There's plenty more drama, deep dives, and twists waiting for you on the channel, so go check out another video and keep the story rolling. Catch you in the next one. Peace!